So, you want to learn how to use Live2D. First, what is Live2D? Live2D is a program used to animate illustrations by using one piece of artwork. This can be used in many different ways, such as making GIFs, virtual avatars, in these nowadays is known as VTubers, you might have seen some, and a few games, and so on. In this tutorial, my goal is to show you some of the basics of the program and how to use it. If you want to know who I am, some of the things you need to know for this tutorial is I am an amateur artist trying to improve my works, trying to get better at art, and so on. My reasonings on why I want to make this series into the tutorial. One is when I try to go online, there's a very lack of them, and my goal is trying to provide more help to it. Two, I have a general interest in Live2D, and this series can help me improve my understanding and improve some of my basic skills in explaining. Third and foremost, this is an art project. This is for my grades. Now, with this underway, let's get started. One thing you need to know that in Live2D, there's a free version and a premium version. It doesn't matter which one you use, I'll be using the free version for this tutorial due to the fact that my premium trial has ended. Now, before we can go on to Live2D, we need an image to do the deforming on. As you can see here, I have already made one image that I'm going to use for this tutorial. For this case, a virtual avatar. This image has around 50 layers, and I separated it into multiple categories. These categories include the hat, the head, the body, separated the horns, separated the eyes, and a few extra pieces, such as like references of how the head will look at different angles, what the mouth will look like, expressions, and some extra features like a tail and the other things. Something to keep in mind when drawing or making an image is when you name an item, you usually name it by the perspective of the character. For this case, this hand will be called left hand, and this hand will be called right hand, and so on and so forth. Left leg, left foot, right foot. For pieces just in the center or only like one piece, you just name it by the piece, like tail, neck, head, and so on. Now, let's keep in mind to have one piece for one layer. For example, if we go to the head itself is one layer, the left bang is one layer, the right bang is one layer, and so on and so forth. And I also have what the mouth will look like when open, with the teeth, what the eyes will look like closed, and so on. These are some things I have put up for the character. And I have planned. For example, the expression pieces, I have planned to use these for expressions. So most of the time you won't really see them, but I have them up and showing in case. When also designing a character, you need to think about the character looks in 3 dimensions. For example, if I go to my reference images, if you have something like a sleeve, and you will see the inside of it, then you divide this into 2 pieces. One piece will be used for the front of the sleeve, the one that's often showing. The other piece is going to be used for the inside of the sleeve. In my case, this is going to be the horns. Due to the fact how the horns may look like this, when the head will turn up, the horns will look more like this. Excuse me for this super rough sketch. And when looking up, the hands are going to look very much like this. And so on and so forth. So this is why, for this image, I have split the horns into 4 pieces. Basically, the bottom part of the pieces, the middle chunk, the big chunk, this chunk, and this chunk. Now, and keep in mind when also doing if you're using the regular version of Live2D, then you can only have a maximum of 100 pieces. This case is 100 layers. Another thing to keep in mind are void spaces. For example, is the neck. If I remove the head, you will notice that the neck will extend far more up the head. That's because in void spaces, you need to think about spots where you don't normally see the object behind. For example, if a strand of hair is behind a arm, then it's a good idea to put a piece what will look like behind if there is no arm. If you just do this part and this part, you will end up having some void spaces, or parts that will just be blank. Always keep in mind is and just make sure you design a character as you like it. And keep in mind like all the pieces. After you're done designing your character, make sure you save this as a PSD or Photoshop document. I already saved one as a PSD, and with this in mind, in the next video we're actually going to move on to Live2D.